Hey, ladies and gents. Hope you're all doing well. I'm also okay. Thank you very much. Welcome back to Social Sessions, your go to channel exploring the stories and issues that shape our communities. Today, we're diving into a chilling and urgent topic, the terrifying and reality of being abducted for ransom. Let's uncover the truth behind this global menace. In the shadows of international crime, one terrifying trend is on the rise: cross-border abductions for ransom. This is where criminal groups exploit weak borders, political instability, and sophisticated networks to carry out kidnappings with one clear goal: profit. Today we'll dive into how these operations work, their global impact, and what's being done to stop them. Let's start with the basics. Cross-border abductions happen when individuals are kidnapped in one country and transported across borders, often to regions where law enforcement is weaker or where kidnappers can hide more easily. This isn't just a random crime, it's often well organized and highly lucrative. According to international crime data, countries like Venezuela, Mexico, Nigeria, and the Philippines have some of the highest rates of kidnapping for ransom. But what's even more alarming is the rise of cross-border cases. Let me explain how this works. Criminal groups often target wealthy individuals, business owners, or foreign nationals. Once the victim is abducted, they are transported across borders to make rescue efforts more difficult. Ransoms can range from thousands to millions of dollars depending on the victim's perceived wealth or importance. Kidnappers often use untraceable methods to demand payment, like cryptocurrencies or third-party intermediaries. Families are pressured to pay quickly, fearing for their loved one's safety, while law enforcement struggles to coordinate across international borders. So, what's behind these crimes? Many of these operations are run by transnational criminal organizations. Groups like drug cartels in Latin America, Boko Haram in Africa, and even some pirate factions in Southeast Asia are notorious for these kidnappings. They often use funds to finance other illegal activities, such as drug trafficking or terrorism. Let me share a real-life example. In 2020, a businessman named Daniel was kidnapped while visiting the border region between Nigeria and Cameroon. He was held in a remote camp and only released after his family paid a ransom of 300,000 US dollars. The operation involved multiple countries, and even though Daniel was freed, the criminal network responsible is still at large. Daniel, a successful businessman in the logistics industry, traveled to the border region between Nigeria and Cameroon for a series of meetings aimed at expanding his company's operations. Daniel was known for his entrepreneurial spirit and his ability to navigate the complex market, but this trip would turn into a nightmare he never anticipated. Daniel's trip was well planned. He had meetings scheduled with the local partners in a small Nigerian town near the border. While he was cautious and aware of the risks in the region, the area seemed safe enough as it was a hub for cross-border trade and frequented by many business people. However, what Daniel didn't know was that the area was increasingly becoming a target for criminal groups specializing in kidnapping for ransom. These groups often monitored border areas looking for wealthy or high-profile individuals to abduct. One evening, as Daniel returned from a meeting to his hotel, a group of armed men ambushed his car on a remote stretch of the road. His driver was forced out of the vehicle, and Daniel was blindfolded and bundled into another car. The operation was swift and well coordinated, with the kidnappers taking him across the border into a dense forest on the Cameroonian side. For the first 24 hours, Daniel was kept in complete darkness, tied up in a makeshift hut. The kidnappers, armed and masked, told him they were holding him for ransom. They demanded $500,000, threatening dire consequences if the money wasn't paid. Over the next 2 weeks, Daniel's family in Lagos received phone calls from the kidnappers, who used burner phones to avoid being traced. The family was devastated. They contacted local authorities and even sought help from private security consultants, but the cross-border nature of the crime complicated efforts to rescue Daniel. The kidnappers moved Daniel frequently, taking advantage of the porous border between Nigeria and Cameroon. Each time he was moved, the terrain became more rugged, and Daniel's health began to deteriorate due to the harsh conditions and lack of proper food or water. The family managed to negotiate the ransom amount down to $300,000, which they paid through an intermediary. The kidnappers insisted on receiving the money in cryptocurrency to make it harder to track. After the payment was confirmed, Daniel was blindfolded and dropped off in a remote village in Cameroon. He was found by local villagers who alerted the police. With the help of local authorities, Daniel was finally reunited with his family, but the trauma of the ordeal stayed with him for months. Daniel's story is just one example of the growing trend of cross-border kidnappings for ransom. The porous borders in regions like West Africa make it easy for criminal groups to evade law enforcement. Despite efforts by international agencies to curb crimes, weak coordination between neighboring countries often leaves victims vulnerable. While Daniel's family was able to secure his release, many others are not so fortunate. His case highlights the urgent need for stronger international cooperation, better border security, and more resources to combat organized crime in these regions. This real-life scenario underscores the risk faced by individuals traveling to conflict-prone or lawless areas and the importance of preventative measures such as security escorts and staying informed about local threats. Unfortunately, stories like Daniel's are all too common. These crimes don't just harm individuals, they destabilize entire regions by discouraging tourism, investment, and economic growth. Organizations like Interpol and the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime are stepping up efforts to combat cross-border abductions. They're working on better information sharing, cross-border training for law enforcement, and using advanced technology to track kidnappers and their financial transactions. But the challenges remain. Corruption, weak legal systems, and lack of resources in certain regions often allow these criminals to operate with impunity. So, what can we do? Awareness is the first step. Governments, businesses, and individuals must work together to strengthen security and support victims. If you're traveling to a high-risk area, stay vigilant and know the local safety protocols. Remember, while these crimes are terrifying, knowledge can be your best defense. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's shine a light on these dark corners of the world and work towards a safer future. Until next time, stay informed and stay safe. Thank you for watching.